And clearly, what I was saying is it has been forever since I've gone live like this, and I forgot to unmute myself. But hey, y'all, welcome to Thirsty Thursday, living life with your girl, Stay. I am so excited. So, I used to do this like all the time. For those of you who were following me way back in the day when Running for Your Life first launched, I had my podcast on Fishbowl Radio Network, and I went live every single week for 2 hours. And never really thought much of it, but I was nervous today, y'all, because it has been a minute since I have done the whole live thing in a formal way. So, welcome and thank you so much for tuning in. I'm trying to get my bearings because when I used to do it back on Fishbowl, we had the privilege of having engineers and technicians to work all the zoom zooms and the wham whams, but it's just me today. My husband is here and he'll be helping, but it's just me right now. So let me check out the chat and the people who are in here. Hey, Miss T with the T, Sammy Joe, my girl Crystal. Hey, Drells. Oh my gosh, y'all showed up and showed out for your girl. So today is Thirsty Thursday, and my whole thing is about living your life. LYFE. Love yourself first explicitly, because no one can advocate for you the way you can advocate for you. And no one can love you the way you can love you. And you can't truly love anyone else until you truly love yourself. So that is always going to be my soapbox. That is always going to be my thing. It's going to be about self-love first, whether it is about you and your kids, you and your mate, whatever. It's not selfish. It's necessary, because you cannot operate at your highest self. You cannot give those people who you love so much the best of you if you don't truly love yourself, flaws and all. And one of the best ways and one of the most important ways that we can love ourselves is by taking care of ourselves, the all of us, mind, body, and soul, or mind, body, and spirit, however you want to say it. Now, of course, we need our doctors, we need our therapists, we need our spiritual leaders. However, we have to use our own discernment, our own knowledge, and our own wherewithal to be able to know who the right people are to serve us in those capacities. And they may have gone to school and gotten all the knowledge, but again, nobody knows us the way we know us. And so that's what I want to talk about today, because I just see so many people leaving their well-being in other people's hands. And you can't do that. And the only reason why you would do that is because you don't trust yourself. And the only reason why you wouldn't trust yourself is because you don't love yourself. So y'all see how I did that? Y'all see how it all, came full circle, because the foundation of it all is going to be self-love. So let me see. Let me get into this chat, because I got to be good about the chat. I'm also welcoming anybody who has something to say. The link is at the top if you want to join in on the stream. If I can figure out how to do it, I will pull you in. But hey, Casey, I think I already said hi to Drell. Hey, Kenneth, and I saw your comment earlier, Kenneth. Happy, happy, happy Black History Month to you as well. And y'all see, I got on my Rosa Parks t-shirt today in honor of Black History Month. Hey, Lacey J. Um, but yeah, so I just want to talk about the whole self-love and self-help and self-care piece as a whole, because especially women of a certain age and Black women, we got to fight for us, because people don't tend to understand us in our plight and what we go through and how we struggle every single day. People are always ready to write us off as, oh, well, that just goes along with age. Well, you're a certain age now, so things are going to happen. And then when you're a Black woman, they automatically think that you're dramatic, and, because, like when it comes to childbirth, Black women, the highest rate of deaths during childbirth. We just don't get the same care that everyone gets, because we're just looked at, for whatever reason, by society as less than. Hey, Amanda. And so we have to be able to fight for ourselves to get what we deserve, even in healthcare. We need to be very, very involved in who our healthcare providers are. I just recently had a change in insurance, and so I had to switch all of my doctors. Now, I personally am a fan and am always going to have a woman as my primary care physician. And that's just my choice. That's what I feel most comfortable with. And this time I took it a step further and decided that I was going to, since I needed to change doctor's offices, that I was going to look for a Black woman as my primary care physician because we have those options now, right? And so since we're out there and we're doing the things, then I'm going to be a supporter. However, I'm never going to pick based on solely the fact that someone happens to be a woman and happens to be Black. I'm still going to need to have to find that connection and know that it is someone who I feel comfortable with. And so that's what I did. I did my research, I did my due diligence, and I found a Black woman to be my provider. And so I had my first appointment with her last week, and it went well. Now, I can't say we in this thing forever and ever, amen, because things happen, but so far, so good. I'm happy with her. And there's a certain thing, like she's a little younger than me. As a matter of fact, her birthday is was yesterday. Cause no, not yesterday, Tuesday. Cause she said, I'm not that much younger than you. I'll be 40 next Tuesday. And so my appointment was last week. And so she's a little younger than me, but that's fine because I also like that too. Because for so much of my life, my doctors were white men. Who could be more the opposite of me than a white male? And at that time, from being an infant, literally, and my doctor, my pediatrician, his name was Dr. Crack, right? That's funny, but it was Krak, but an older white man. And I went to my pediatrician, y'all, until I was 17, 18 years old, which is hilarious. And then when I moved into the OBGYN age and I had my first son at 20, I went to a practice that was for white men who actually were the same doctors who delivered my sister and I. So, of course, I just went to the same doctors that my mom had gone to, right? Because she trusted them. And so that is who she referred me to. And that's where I went. And so, thank you, Crystal. You know, I don't know how to do nothing different. Totally transparent and 100% candid at all times. So, that's who I went to. That's who my mom recommended. That's who I went to. Hey, Carrie. But I never felt comfortable, right? There were certain things that they wanted me to do or didn't want me to do that I didn't understand, but I also didn't have my voice yet then. Oh, but when I got it, but I didn't have my voice yet then. So I didn't question a lot. I just did whatever it was that they told me to do. I felt that I wanted an ultrasound when I had my first son. And I had him in 91, and they were like, no, we don't need to do an ultrasound. But something just didn't seem right to me in the last trimester. And I just wanted an ultrasound. Now, I did not want to know the sex of my child. I wanted it to be a surprise. But something just didn't seem right. He wasn't moving as much as he normally did. And again, it's my body. I know I've been carrying this child now for 9 months. I know how we've been rocking for 9 months, me and this baby, and things have been a certain way. And so I wanted an ultrasound. They were like, no, you don't need an ultrasound. You don't need an ultrasound. So finally, I go into labor and I'm in labor for hours and hours. Y'all, I was in labor with my first son for 26 hours. Babe, you know I'm not good at that. What you want me to do? Huh? Oh, it sounds horrible. Okay. Can y'all hear me now? Y'all should hear me now. Hey, Laura's Garden. Y'all should be able to hear me now. Nope.
It was
All
working.
right. Can you hear me now?
Put the mic back up. You had it working.
Well, you said it sounded terrible.
When you hear that sound, that means your mic is working.
Okay.
The other one.
This one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is crazy. All right. I think we good. All right. I think we good. All right. Good, good, good. Anyway, as I was saying, I was telling them that something was wrong, right? So I'm in labor for 26 hours in excruciating pain. I end up getting an epidural, and finally, like maybe 24, 25 hours in, they're like, we're losing the baby's heartbeat. The heartbeat is really faint. We're losing the baby's heartbeat. And so now I'm in full panic mode. Remember, y'all, I'm only 20 years old. I have never experienced anything like this in my life. And you're telling me now you're losing my baby's heartbeat. And come to find out, my son was huge. He was 8 pounds, 14 ounces. And at this time, I'm just a little girl. Like I wasn't quite as fluffy as I am now. So I have this 8-pound, 14-ounce baby who has run out of space where I have been housing him for 9 months. And he's been moving around so much that now the cord is wrapped around his throat 3 times. Now, you can't tell me that that wasn't starting to happen when I was noticing that my baby's not moving as much. I want an ultrasound. Something's not right. And they're like, oh, you're fine. You're fine. You're just being dramatic because, again, Black women were dramatic. Black women were angry. Black women were demanding. That's what they say, right? So they ignored me, and I almost lost my son. Finally, after 26 hours of labor, I go into an emergency C-section. My son is blue, cord wrapped around his throat. He has to be rushed to the NICU. And thank God he ended up being fine. And then they tried to play in my face and say, oh, everything's fine. Yeah, that just happened at the end with him trying to make his way down the birth canal. No, the things that you were going through at the end of the pregnancy, no, that's not what that was. You're lying right in my face. That's exactly when that was. And then when I asked them, well, he's blue. Was he deprived of oxygen? How long had he been deprived of oxygen? Then these people, these white men, played in my face again and said, oh, no, there was nothing wrong. The only reason we had to rush him to NICU is because he's such a big baby and we just had to feed him right away. What, he was going to starve to death? Like, really? Really? But that's what they do. And so I just vowed from that time on that I was never going to allow myself to be in that situation again. I was never going to allow someone else to tell me how to deal with my body. I was never again going to be in the situation where my life, as well as the lives of my children, were going to be endangered because I had someone in charge of our care who doesn't really care about us and who doesn't really understand us. And so I have been super intentional from that point on to make sure that I do my research. And it has been a game changer for me. My next doctor that I had for my other children, a Black woman, awesome, understood me, heard me, listened to me. Not to say that I couldn't get that care from anyone else, but I just went where I was comfortable, and we have that right. And I just want everyone to know, not only women, but I want everyone to know that we have that right. You have a choice. You do not have to go by just what your mama says or your grandmama or your friends, because you're an individual. We're all different. We all have unique personalities. We all have unique needs, and we are going to connect with different people. And the professionals a lot of times they're just going by textbook. You're a number to them. This is your situation. You're a pregnant woman. This is what happens in your first trimester, your second trimester. This is what we're going to do. Boom, boom, boom. And anything else you're saying is like, hey, Jax, how you doing? Anything else that you're saying is you're just dramatic. You're a first time mom, or you're getting older. You don't know how to deal with it, because I'm getting a lot of that now, or I was at my previous doctor's office, where everything that I told her, and this was a woman. So that's why I'm saying it has to be the certain person. But for a while, for years, we were rocking good. But then I started having certain concerns, and everything I came to her with, she was saying, well, you've never been 50 before. Well, you've never been 51 before. This just happens when you turn a certain age. But my thing is there something that we can do about it? Like, I understand that I'm getting older. I understand that things are going to change, but can you give me some information? Can you give me a path forward? Like, are you just telling me the fact that I have reached half 100 now, I just need to roll over and die and let nature take its course? No way. That's not what I'm doing. And so I had already started on my search for a new doctor's office. And so it was just perfect when we got the new insurance. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to go back there. Let me find somewhere else, because I need to find someone who is going to take the time and listen to me. And it's the same with mental health. Now, I am a huge proponent for mental health care. I believe that every single one of us could benefit from laying on somebody's couch every once in a while and just telling them how we feel. Somebody who is completely unbiased, someone who does not know us from a can of paint, except for when we walked into their office, who is going to listen to us with no judgment and help us work through our stuff. Because no matter how together we feel that we all got some stuff. I don't care if it is childhood trauma. I don't care if it's past relationship trauma. I don't care if it's just the trauma of getting older, because that is a little traumatizing for me right now, because I'm a very active person and I've always been a very healthy person. So to be diagnosed at 51 years old at the time, now 52, with what they call metabolic syndrome, where I have hypertension, high cholesterol, and I'm pre-diabetic. That has been traumatizing for me. To have my first dental work at 52 years old. If y'all saw my vlog from a couple of weeks ago, I just had to get a crown. Who does that? I've had one cavity, and that cavity I had when I was 16, had a filling in it, had that filling replaced about 5 years ago, and now they're saying that uh the tooth was weak because the cavity and the filling were so old, because I'm so old. And so they had to give me a crown. That was traumatizing for me. I suffer with panic and anxiety anyway. So just having those people all up in my face and the loud drills and never having to deal with anything like that before, that was traumatizing. And if you think my therapist isn't going to hear about it, yeah, she's going to hear about it, because I need somebody to let me talk about it, who is not going to judge me, who's not going to call me a crybaby, because I'm a soldier. I'm a tough girl. But that stuff, like, I don't see how people do all that. And thank you so much, Marie, who do all that dental work all the time. That was traumatizing. So anyway, I say all that to say I believe in therapy. However, you still have to go to the right therapist. There has to be a connection. This is somebody who you are trusting with your innermost thoughts, maybe your deepest, darkest secrets, somebody who you want to feel like you can say anything to, and they're going to listen and understand and help you work through it. It has to be the right person. Do not feel like just because your good girlfriend said, yeah, you need to go to Dr. Jane Smith, because Jane is the bomb. She helped me work through my trauma when I got divorced, and she helped me work through when I was going through empty nester syndrome. Oh, go to her. She's the bomb. Well, she may be for your good girlfriend. That doesn't mean that she's going to be the bomb for you. And if you go and you have one or two conversations and y'all not clicking, go to somebody else. Go to somebody else. You do not have to keep talking to a therapist if you don't feel like they're understanding you. And don't just get in your head, oh, they're the professional, so they know. No, if it don't feel right, it ain't right. I'm just saying. And y'all can talk back to me. Let me know if you think I'm wrong. Let me see, Sarah. Hey, Sarah, I know dental work is traumatic. I did find a good dentist and praying for friends. Yeah, I mean, you have to find the right person. And that's the thing. During my dental appointment, this is how I know I have the right dentist. Because that's another thing. I found a Black woman dentist. Y'all, I am winning over here. So anybody in the Dallas Fort Worth area who's looking and wants to give my peeps a try, I would love to refer them because they're both amazing. And this is how I know my dentist is amazing. It was a traumatic experience for me, indeed. I let her know that it was a traumatic experience for me. I knew going into it that it wasn't going to be peaches and cream. I stopped twice. They got me laid back, stuff all in my mouth, lights, camera, action, goggles on, everything. It started getting too much for me. And I have ways that I try to process through my panic attacks where, I try to count backwards. I try to put myself in this tranquil place. But if that don't work after a while, we got to stop. And so twice I got up, snatched all that stuff out and told her, I need to take a break. And she's like, okay, how long do you think you need to take? And I'm like, I don't know. I'll let you know. I ended up being in that dentist office. Now, it wasn't the whole time doing that because I did get my cleaning and everything. But I was in that dentist office from noon until 4:00 p.m. And then she asked me, she was like, well, do you just want to make another appointment? Because they make the crowns in-house. Again, I've never had anything like that done before, but so I didn't know that usually they don't make them in-house. So that's a big thing at this dentist. They make the crowns in-house. So yes, I will definitely share, sis. And so she was like, we can give you a temporary and you can go home and come back, or we can do the whole thing today. No, let's do it today because I'm not putting myself through this another day. But she was patient. And then I was like, I know I'm probably the worst patient you've ever had. And she's like, no, you are not the worst patient I've ever had. There have been people who holler every time I touch a tooth and I'm not even doing anything. But the thing is, I know myself, I know my limitations, and I also know my rights as a human being, that I don't have to deal with anything that I don't need to deal with or I don't want to deal with. I know that it is okay for me to tell a doctor, a psychiatrist, a pastor, whoever the person is, the professional in leadership, it is okay for me to tell them, I'm not comfortable with this. I don't want to move forward with this. And that is finding your voice and knowing what you deserve and knowing when enough is enough. And so there was a time when I was younger, like back in my 20s, where I just would have forced myself to power through that. I would have been thinking, well, I can't just stop. I can't tell her to stop. She's the dentist. So I would have put myself in a whole tizzy instead of just saying, we got to stop for a minute. You need to give me a break. And that's what I did. And you want a doctor who's going to be okay with that, who is going to put you and your mental health and your well-being above their time schedule, above whatever it is that they're trying to do. You don't want somebody who's going to talk down to you. And if you have that type of person, you have every right to move on. You also have every right to file a complaint, do whatever you have to do, because it is you, your body, your mind, your well-being. And so I'm so glad to see that a couple of people had commented that they have changed, medical professions before, or professionals before, gone somewhere different, picked somewhere different. And yes, setting boundaries. Setting boundaries is so important to self-care and self-love, because I truly believe something that my grandmother taught me when I was very young and dealing with friends as a little kid, and this one is doing this to me and this one is doing that to me. And one thing she taught me is you teach people how to treat you. And that's all people. It's not just little kids. It's all people. You treat your medical professionals how to treat you. You set your boundaries. You let them know what you're okay with and what you're not okay with. You teach your children how to treat you. Your adult children, your little children, you set those boundaries and they know where the line is and they know what the consequences are for crossing those lines. You teach your parents, especially as an adult, parents, when you're an adult and your parents, you have to set boundaries. A lot of times your parents, as you get older, still see you as that small child and still want to treat you as that small child. And they still want to work within their boundaries of what they think is appropriate. And as adults, we have every right to tell our parents what those boundaries are. What is their business? What's not their business? What's their concern? What's not their concern? You have the right to set those boundaries with anyone. It's self care, it's self love, it is necessary. And I just want us all to know that it is okay to say enough is enough. It is okay to even change your mind about what your boundaries were. Like, okay, it was okay with me yesterday, but guess what? It's not okay with me today. And that's completely fine because I'm allowed to change my mind. Different days bring about different circumstances. I don't care what they call you. If they want to call you fickle, wishy washy, whatever, it is about protecting yourself. And just like me, I told you, I have been going to my same doctor for years and things were great. Then all of a sudden they weren't. So guess what? It's time to change doctors. I'm not going to waste my time trying to change her. I'm in control. And I only have to accept what I accept. And that's a choice. I don't have to keep dealing with something. I didn't sign a contract to be in a relationship with anyone. I didn't sign a contract for a lifelong standing doctor's appointment with you, right? And so that's the thing. Sometimes I think we get locked into this stuff because this is what we've always done. Well, maybe at one point in your life, one point in your journey, that worked for you. But now, where you are as a person, your growth, your changing, it no longer works for you. Guess what? Switch it up. And I hope someone's been trying to join the lab. Like, I hope someone was trying to join the lab, but I haven't seen anybody. So I hope I don't have anybody just waiting. But saying not doing what we've always done and sticking to it leads me to the next thing, which is taking care of ourselves spiritually as well. And knowing that it is 100% okay not to keep going to First Baptist Church of Calvary, redemption of our Lord, for the rest of your life just because that's where mama and them went. And that's where we need to go because that's the family church. If that church is no longer serving you, if that church is no longer growing you as a person, if that church is no longer feeding your spirit and feeding your soul, it is up to you to move along. Don't stay there trying to change the mission. Don't stay there trying to keep talking to the pastor. Don't stay there trying to, no, move on because you're holding yourself back. And no matter what you think is going on, and you think, well, I could be the one to make a difference. If it has not, if there a difference hasn't been made by now, I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, ma'am. You probably not going to be the one. The way you can make a difference is by moving on. And sometimes that's the best thing we could do, even for the other people, is to move on. Be that example, be the one to show them a different way because people stick with their church till death do us part, and they have been stagnant in their spirituality for decades, for decades. And I don't get it. It's just you get complacent, but at the same time, you're not fulfilled. You're complaining and you're upset, but at the same time, you're not ready to do anything to make it different because we're trying to visit what we feel on other people. We feel more comfortable saying, yeah, I'm not getting what I need at the church because the pastor ain't doing this and the deacons ain't doing that and the Bible study ain't about this. But it's probably feeding somebody. It's not feeding you, but you're blaming your spiritual growth on somebody else when maybe it's time for you to move on, right? But we feel more comfortable blaming it on other people because that doesn't put any onus on us, which that is the absolute wrong thing to do. Because another thing my grandmother used to say is, what they eat don't fatten me. So while we blaming them because they're not feeding us spiritually and we're not growing, we still not growing. So no matter who you want to blame it on, the bottom line is there's no growth and you're not changing and you're not doing anything about it but complaining, which most of the time makes you go backwards. And really, we should all be here to grow and absorb and get as much as we can so that we can help somebody else, right? And if you're not growing and you're not learning, then who you going to help? And so then you end up having other disgruntled people because you getting in your little echo chambers and you're talking to them and you're complaining about the church and you're complaining about the pastor and you're complaining about all the things. So now they complaining about all the things. So now we all stuck. It makes no sense. Sometimes it's just time to move. Let me see. Let me read some more comments. Lacey J, absolutely right. My parents always taught me that my relationship with God is mine and no one else. My parents would say, can't pray me into heaven. Absolutely. And we can't worry about whose feelings might get hurt when we decide to walk away or who might be feeling a certain way because it's our journey. It's our journey. It's our relationship with God. Let me see. Sarah says, I ran away from God. He has always been there to welcome me back. He's going to be there for us each and every time. And the thing is, even when we struggle, because I've gone through periods in my life, I was born and raised in a church. My husband is a minister. My husband pastored a church for several years. And I got to the point where I kind of struggled with things when it came to religion. So I've never had an issue at all with my relationship with God and my spirituality. But I grew up in a Baptist church, and there were just a lot of things about the church and the religion piece of it that just didn't sit well with me. And I would ask questions, and either I didn't get answers at all, or the answers I got didn't satisfy me. And so I just decided that I no longer wanted to be a part of religion. Now, that's my choice. Doesn't have to be anybody else's choice. But the key and what I'm trying to drive home to y'all is I made that decision for myself. I still love the Lord. He heard my cry. I pray every day. I pray every night. I actually pray all day long. I thank God for the smallest of things. It doesn't matter if I lost one of my rings and I can't find it. As soon as I find it, the first thing I say is thank you, Lord. I mean, that's just what I do. I have a personal relationship with God. We are in an ongoing conversation all day, every day. I just don't have a relationship with religion. And that was the choice that I made to love myself so that I could get fed. And when I start tapping more into my relationship with God, into my spirituality, when I start tapping more into what God means to me and not what everybody else is telling me that God is supposed to mean to me, when I got more intimately involved with the Lord and not so much thinking about communion and first Sunday and Women's Day and the mass choir and what colors we wearing for the anniversary, when I was able to step away from all that stuff that had absolutely nothing to do with God, in my opinion, and what he means to me, man, my eyes were open. I felt a connection like I had never felt before. I was able to talk to God a lot more clearly because I wasn't being told how to pray. Because that's another thing. People will tell you how to pray, how you're supposed to start the prayer, how you're supposed to end the prayer, what you're supposed to say in the beginning, how you're supposed to thank him, and then do this. Look, y'all, I talk to God just like I'm talking to y'all, and there is no doubt in my mind that he hears me. Sometimes I am in a situation where I am able to come with all the salutations and greet him properly. And sometimes I can't do nothing but just say Jesus, and that's it. And he knows everything that I need to say. And it doesn't have to be all that. There are times when I pray with my eyes open, times when I pray with my eyes closed. There are times that I pray standing up on my feet. Sometimes I'm on my knees. Sometimes I'm in the shower or the bathtub. Whenever I talk to him, and there is no doubt that he hears me every single time. And that is the kind of relationship that I want, because when I was so involved in religion, I was more concerned with how it sounded. Was I doing it right? Well, thank you, Sarah. I appreciate you. Was I doing it right? Yes, Carrie, all day, every day. Like, I am never in a position where I need to reintroduce myself to the Lord, because it's just like, yeah, it's me again. And my husband said this sometimes when he would be preaching, he would talk about his conversations with the Lord. And, he would say, I never have to introduce myself. He's always coming back like, yeah, Lord, it's me again, like we was talking about earlier. And that's it. That's me. It is an ongoing conversation all day, every day. And that made it so much more personal for me, because when I was involved in church, and again, I'm not knocking church, I'm talking about us. in our journeys individually and the decisions that we can make for ourselves. And my decision and my path is not necessarily going to be your decision and your path. I just want to lend to you the fact that you have a choice in your path, and it doesn't have to look like anybody else's, and it doesn't have to be just because that's what they said we need to do. And I just know for me, when I walked away from religion, when I walked away from the structure of the church and the building, because I truly believe, in the Bible says that we are the church. But when I walked away from that structure and that building and the hierarchy, and I just, I got clear about who I was in Christ and about who I am as a person. And I got real comfortable with Stae, just being Stae, and realizing that a lot of the things that I felt bad about and a lot of the judgment that I received, that wasn't coming from God. That was happening from the people. And so we have those choices. There is no one who we want to enlist to be a part of our journey and play an active role in our journey and to give us guidance, whether it's medically, mentally, or spiritually. There's no one that we should put in those positions that we're not comfortable with. There is no one who we should allow to have that kind of access to our lives if we're not in total agreement and alignment with what it is that they're telling us. You should never have to be nervous to talk to your doctor. You should never have to be nervous to talk to your pastor. You should never have to worry about judgment when you're talking to your therapist. You should be able to feel 100% comfortable, sometimes even more so than you would with your spouse or your best friend, because these are people who don't have that type of connection with you where you can just lay it out on the line, tell them everything, and it is their job, right, to not judge us and still be able to serve us in the way that we need and what's best for us. Carrie said, in my opinion, the church is a community of people, not a religion or an organization. Absolutely, absolutely. And I do miss parts of the fellowship of church sometimes, but not enough to go back. Um, but I hope and pray that one day I'll be able to find that community, that family, that organization that I can fellowship with and study with. But right now, that's just me and my husband and our kids. And it's good, right? Because my husband knows. I mean, he has a degree in theology. He pastored, like I said, for several years. He's still a minister. And that's the thing, too. Sometimes people will ask, so you don't pastor no more? Well, he pastoring up in here every day. He is truly the head of our household. He is the one that we go to for spiritual guidance. And I trust him, and we're equally yoked and we're on the same page. He doesn't need a church building in order to be a pastor, because God called him, and he called him for a reason, and he still has a message, and we still minister every single day. Can y'all not tell? Right. And that was another thing I had an issue with, the whole first lady thing. I'm like, I don't even know what that is. Can y'all imagine me, for the ones of you who didn't know me back in my first lady days? Like, do I even seem like anybody's first lady? Good evening, Kicking It with Elvin, Living Out Loud, the podcast. Hey, people would ask me, where did I go to church? My reply to that would be, you're not asking the right question. The better question is, where do you worship? And the answer to that is everywhere. Yes, I love it. I love it. You know, I'm stealing that, right? I will give you credit. You know, you see, I'm good at giving credit. I will quote somebody in a minute, but you're going to get your credit. Yes, worship everywhere. It is not confined to a certain building. And that's the thing, too, when it comes to church. Ministry is supposed to go outside of those walls anyway. The people who are there every single Sunday, week after week after week, they pretty much got the message. We coming in for, you know, that fine tuning, but we should know. So ministry needs to be outside those walls anyway. So yes, I love that. Where do you worship? And that is everywhere. And I think I said hi to Kicking It with Elvin. He's just saying hi to everybody. But yeah, y'all, this is so much fun. I love being behind the mic again and talking to like-minded people and being able to share. But people will try to shame you, you know, and they'll ask, you know, oh, so Wallace ain't pastor no more. I'm like, I don't know where you heard that. Yeah, because I still pastor hall around here. It just looked different. And we both just came to the realization that our gifts were going to be better utilized and better received outside of those four walls, and that we could truly minister to the people who need us if we got outside of those four walls. Because when you're involved with church, that can take up a lot of your time. And so you're only ministering to and fellowshipping with the same people over and over and over again. And you're not able to get your hands on the people who really need you, the people who are afraid to walk into the church, the people who are ashamed, the people who just don't feel comfortable. That's the people who we want to get to. I feel like the people who come in Sunday after Sunday, if y'all ain't got it by now, then what's going on? You know, we teaching you the same stuff all the time. But it's time to do something different. So that is what we decided to do. And it's just, I don't know, it just opens up a whole new world when you are able to see the choices that you have, the boundaries that you can set for yourself. Because if you're not comfortable within yourself, then you cannot truly be having that quality of life that you deserve. And so just surrounding yourself with people who have your best intentions, people who allow you to ask questions, people who allow you to make mistakes, people who don't judge you, people who take you seriously, people who value you as a person. Once you're able to find that type of community when it comes to the people who are in charge of your care, it's a world of difference. It's so much different. And so that is how I have been living my life for since I was about 45, right? So I learned a little too late, but it was a process. It wasn't like all 45 and then boom. I mean, I took baby steps, but I had to learn to start compartmentalizing people in my life, realizing that just because people are family doesn't necessarily mean that I have to have relationships with them. Realizing that sometimes friends come and go, and just because you were my friend then doesn't mean you need to be my friend now. I was a collector of people and didn't realize it, and I had to let my collection go. I was becoming a hoarder. I was staying in relationships with people for absolutely no reason at all, except for the fact that they've been around forever. And so I just had to learn that it's okay to let go. It's okay to say that this relationship has run its course, because I know we've all heard, you know, people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And sometimes we trying to make those reason and season people lifetime people. And that's not how it was meant to be. And the harsh reality of it is sometimes these are people who share your DNA, but they can still be reason or season people, because no matter what your DNA is, we're still all unique individuals. And I had to start looking at some people like, if you weren't my family, would I be kicking it with you? Probably not. So why am I still continuing to accept this abuse and accept this trauma? I wouldn't accept it from anyone else. Why am I accepting it from you? And sometimes that's a hard pill to swallow. But once you come to that realization and you take that step to do something differently, yeah, it feels a little at first. You grieve that relationship, right? And that'll probably be a whole different show for a different day. But once you kind of come to terms with it, you realize how much more meaningful life becomes. You realize how much more comfortable you become and how necessary it was for you to let that relationship go. And you go through the process and you keep it moving, but you're a better person because of it. And so I just want us all to know that we are our best advocate. No one knows what's best for us more than we do. And it even goes down to going back to the doctors when it comes to medications. Research your medications, like all that fast stuff they be saying at the end of the commercials. Pay attention to that stuff. Don't just let them prescribe you something, because you know they get paid to prescribe those medications. Like pharmaceuticals is a big business. So all that little stuff that they ramble at the end when the music is playing, when they say may cause this and that, a lot of times that includes death. Like, don't get a medication to stop your dry eyes that can end up in kidney failure or you know what I mean? Whatever it is, paralysis. Like I'd rather just go ahead and have the dry eye syndrome, but they will prescribe you some stuff. And so, you just want to do your due diligence. You want to ask the questions. And if you have a doctor or somebody who doesn't want to ask the questions, and the thing is too, with those medications, ask the pharmacist because the doctors don't even be knowing sometimes. Like literally, salespeople come into the doctor's office with these medications, and we will give you this much if you prescribe this amount or whatever. And the doctors are like, what does that work for? Okay. And they're prescribing it. You have to do your due diligence on that stuff. And the pharmacists, they're the ones who really know. Let me see this comment. Jean Nash, it's not too late. It happened when God got ready. Awesome words of knowledge and wisdom coming from God's daughter. Glory to God. Thank you for sharing. And we never get too old to learn nor change. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I heard somebody say that um, a little while ago. I don't know who it was, but they said, well, I'm too old to change. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And if you say that, then that just means you don't want to change. And just say that because that's okay too. But don't be hiding about behind your age. I'm too old to change. I change every day. Every day. And that's what I want. I want growth. I want to think about something a little differently than I thought about it the day before, but I'm intentional about it. But when people say stuff like that, I'm too old to change, that's just an excuse not to change. Don't nobody believe that. Some of those side effects are scary. Yeah, absolutely. I came in here and I just got, dry eyes and I'm going to leave with kidney failure and paralysis in my right toe. No, thank you. No, thank you. I'll just keep putting my drops in. But they don't tell us all of that stuff. And so that's the type of person I am. I'm not big on medication. And there's some medication I have to take. Like I said, I have hypertension. So if I don't take my hypertension medication, I could have a stroke or a heart attack, and those things run in my family. But I made sure I did the research to take the medication that I felt was going to be best for me. And I do ask my doctor, excuse me, I do ask my doctor, well, what about this medication? Because at first they were prescribing me lisinopril, and from the research that I did, lisinopril was not going to be the best for me. And so I said that to my doctor and we talked about it. And so now I take Valsartan and I haven't had any issues. My goal and this whole journey is to get off all medication. And that's kind of the reason why I switched doctors, because when I was telling her I wanted to get off of the medications and that was my goal, she kept saying, well, it's hereditary. You've had hypertension since you were 28 years old. Your parents have hypertension. Your grandparents had hypertension. It's a little more prevalent in the Black community. And basically just telling me it is what it is. And I'm like, no, I want to get off the medication. She's like, and then, at your age, and she said, and I could just tell you to lose weight, but you're not enough overweight where I think it would really make a difference. And so I felt like she just didn't care to help me. And here's the thing that she said to me that really made me decide to change doctors. When she said, well, if your blood pressure was this high and you were 30 or 40 years old, then maybe I would really be a little bit more concerned. But at 51, I'm not really concerned. And so when I was asking her, well, what would be the difference? Like hypertension is hypertension. High numbers are high numbers. Young people have strokes too. And she was saying, well, it's just a little bit more common when you get older. So what I heard was, since you're getting older, we're just not really that concerned about you because you're about to die in a minute anyway. That's what I heard. And that's when I realized, okay, this is no longer the right medical professional for me. Because what you're telling me is the fact that I'm getting older, your treatment and care of me is going to be less because things are just bound to happen because I'm getting older. No, I need you to treat me like I'm still 21 then. If that's the case, I need you to still treat me like I'm 21. And I said 21 because we have 21 people up here. And I should have been saying that before because we were up to 29. So thank y'all for joining. And hey, good evening, Beverly. And there are people joining from Facebook as well. And so I thank y'all for checking in. If you're on Facebook, please, give me a hey, because we are streaming on a couple of different platforms. But yeah, still treat me like I'm 21. Like, don't just say, forget about my treatment because I'm older. Like, that made no sense. And maybe that's not what she meant. But when I looked into it, there was no difference in how you should treat blood pressure, based on age. So all I heard from her is, yeah, We ain't got time to be worrying about y'all old folks. No, we ain't doing that. Sammy Joe said, when I was 40, they wanted to put me on cholesterol medication. I asked if I have high cholesterol. She said, no. I said, no, thank you. 20 years later, I'm still fine. Why in the world would they want to put you on cholesterol medication? You didn't even have high cholesterol. That's what I mean. They just write prescriptions for stuff a lot of times. Like, not all doctors, but that's why I wanted to do this video today, so y'all would be aware that there are some people out there that's just what they're doing because they get paid to do it. And you may need prescriptions, but research even those prescriptions and make sure that you're okay with the possible side effects. And that's another thing. If you have a side effect, don't let them just tell you, well, that's just a side effect. Okay, so what we going to do about it? I don't want to live with this side effect. I mean, you have to be an advocate for yourself. You have to ask questions because nobody's going to love you and care about you the way you do. And that's why I'm so big on self love. You have to be totally 100% sold out to you. And that doesn't mean that you don't care about other people. It doesn't mean that you're not, it doesn't mean that you're selfish because, again, that's how we're the best for everybody. Y'all will hear me say over and over again about how people always want to talk about a full cup. My cup is full. My cup is full. I want my cup overflowing. And the only way that your cup can be overflowing is if you love and put yourself first. But when you have an overflowing cup, that means that you are so full that you have so much more to give, right? So much more to give. When I'm giving from my surplus, that means I have and you have. Don't feel like the only way to truly give of yourself and to give of others is that you have to lack. And I think especially as women too, we feel like unless we struggling, unless we tired, unless we worn out and giving our last, then we're not truly giving. Like that's our badge of honor. I'm so wore out. These kids got me worn out. My husband got me worn out. The church got me worn out. The job got me worn out. Well, honey, you are doing something wrong. You should not be worn out. What are you doing for you? I want you to be able to give and do for people and feel great. I don't want you to be tired and stressed out. So you have to be able to keep your cup overflowing. She said, just precaution, no thank. Oh my gosh, that is so. Yeah, well, I'm glad you said no thank you. But how many people, right, just because it was the doctor, would have just done it, right? Because that's how a lot of us were raised. You know, you listen to the doctor, you do what the doctor says. The doctor says you needed this medicine. And things were different back in the day, too. They didn't have the same access and resources that we have. And so they went with what the doctor said. We have no excuse now. We could just Google it, figure it out. We could just YouTube it, figure it out. Watch some videos. Somebody has made a video about their experience with the medication. There's some doctor who has made a video to talk about the medication honestly and openly. Like just do your job. Do your job for yourself to make sure that you're getting the best possible care because it's so important. We want to be here a long time. We want to feel good. We want to be able to, take care of our children and our grandchildren and our great grandchildren. We want to be around and we can't depend on other people to keep us alive. We can. We have to do it ourselves. And then we have to do the other things as well. We have to eat right. We have to exercise. We have to do all that because she was even telling me too. She was like, well, um, cardio is not that important. Like there was just a bunch of stuff that she was saying to me where I'm like, okay, maybe. And I was good with like, maybe I need to find a geriatric doctor. I don't know. I just needed somebody who cared about me and my old behind. I didn't need nobody saying when she said that to me, y'all. Well, if you were, 25 or 35, whatever she said, I'd be more concerned. But, at 51, that's just to be expected. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. People talk about growing old gracefully. I don't know what that means because if graceful just means I'm just going to take it all in stride, no, I'm kicking and fighting and clawing my way because I don't want to be old. I want to get older, but I don't want to be old. I don't want to age. I don't want to feel bad. I don't want to be having this pill box with, 15 different pills in it that could have been prevented if I just would have had a doctor who was willing to work with me and help me figure out some different ways to handle things instead of just writing prescriptions. Yeah, I want to get older, I know um what the alternative is, but I don't want to be old. You know what I'm saying? I guess y'all picking up what I'm putting down. But yeah, let me see. Am I missing any comments? I think I'm all caught up with my comments. I think I did pretty good with the comments, y'all. And that's another thing about me with loving myself. I will celebrate myself. I will pat myself on the back. Yes, I am that person who cooks food and talks about how good it is. Absolutely. I am my own cheerleader. We have to do that stuff. And I think for so long, that was frowned upon, and people made it seem like, you were arrogant, or whatever, if you talked highly of yourself. Please, I am going to toot my own horn every single time, because there's no guarantee anybody else will do it. And if I don't, then I can just be out here thinking I ain't really about nothing, because ain't nobody saying nothing. So I'm going to say something myself. Well, hello, Wallace Hall. Thank you for joining us. The hubby is watching from his office and decided to say hello. But yeah, I'm going to toot my horn every single time. I am going to pat myself on the back. I am going to say how great I am, because all of that is important when you are advocating for yourself. You have to have that positive self-talk. You got to stop the stinking thinking. If you are excellent at a thing, then just say you are excellent at a thing. It is fine. I used to struggle with that back in the day with singing. So a lot of you know that I have been singing since I was 3 years old. I've sang professionally, which means I have gotten paid to sing a few times, and I have recorded a couple of times. Am I Beyonce? No, but I am a professional singer. I also used to give singing lessons. But hey, Lachey, yes, I am live, girl. And so people used to ask me back in the day, they would say, "Oh, I heard you could sing," like, especially when I was in college and stuff. I heard you could sing. Thank you for saying hi to the hubby, y'all, who will be live with me on our channel on Sunday. So y'all can hop over there to the hallway. It's the hallway life. But I'll be streaming on both channels for a while until we get them both up and going. But anyway, so y'all be meeting him on Sunday. But anyway, people used to ask me if I could sing. And I used to always be kind of shy about it, because I didn't want to sound like I was arrogant or whatever. So I would be like, I'm all right. Yeah, I sing. And they would be like, "No, I don't want to know if you can sing. I want to know if you can sing." And I would be like, "Well, I sing." I would always downplay it. And until one day my mentor was like, "Why do you keep doing that? Like, you can really sing. And since people want to ask you, then just say, yes, I can sing." Because they're like, "You're bad to the bone when it comes to singing. So say you can sing." And it was so uncomfortable for me the first couple of times. But what he was also letting me know is, you never know when there can be an opportunity. And if you ain't confident in what you do, you got to be an advocate for yourself. You want opportunities, you want to be able to do stuff, but you ain't confident. Yeah, you got what's that song? "You don't need no beat. You better hype your bestie up." Well, I'm my bestie and I hype myself up. And I used to not do that. And so I got to the point where I did start saying, "Yes, I sing." And then, "Can you sing or can you sing?" Well, I guess I sang, because I knew I was good. Am I saying I'm the best singer in the world? Absolutely not. But would I be afraid to take the stage with the best singer in the world? Absolutely not, because I am excellent at my craft. And sometimes it's uncomfortable, because that's not how maybe we were raised. And, people who are confident were looked down upon. But again, it's the things you say out of your mouth that is going to dictate how you really feel about yourself. And if you are speaking in a way where you're not real confident, then eventually that's going to show up, and you're not going to be confident, and you're not going to show up as a confident person. And although it was uncomfortable for a while, I got to the point where I was real good at it. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I can. And it made me feel good, because I was standing in my truth and what I knew about myself. But the other thing with that is, we also have to be able to admit when we're not so great at things. And I'm good at that too. I stay in my lane. I know what I'm excellent at. If you need somebody to sing, I'm your girl. If you need somebody to what like I admire, I bring it every day. Kelly, she's not on here. I don't think, I didn't see her, but she knits and crochets. I wish I could do that. I could never. I am not good with my hands. If you need somebody to make you something like that, if y'all watch my vlog coming up on Sunday, I had to help my grandson make a 100 days of school t-shirt. It looks like my little 4-year-old granddaughter made it and she probably could have done better. That's not where I shine, but I was willing to step in there and help. But there are certain things I can't do. If you need a motivational speaker, a life coach, I am your girl. But if you need somebody to teach you a foreign language, I barely can speak English. You know what I mean? So I know where I shine and what I'm excellent at, but I also know what I'm not so good at. And I'm able to admit both. I know where I have room for growth and room for improvement, and I'm willing to do that. But long gone are the days of me downplaying my talents, downplaying my excellence. Because a lot of times we do that because we want to make other people feel comfortable. We don't want to speak too highly of ourselves because we don't want other people to feel uncomfortable, or we don't want to come across as someone who is arrogant or cocky or too full of themselves. So we downplay who we are. But I'm telling you, what you feed will grow. So if you continue to downplay it, eventually you're going to be exactly what you say you are. You will end up being just all right, just okay. So you have to speak your truth. It's not like you going around tapping people on their shoulder saying, oh, you know what I'm really good at. But if they ask the question, absolutely. I am the best at that. I am excellent at that. You all have an amazing night. Great job. Thank you, Sammy Joe. Thank you so much. Everybody saying good night. Hey, beauty. Thank you so much for tuning in, girl, and happy birthday to you. I've been watching your vlogs, you enjoying in Vegas. And we have a keto bakery here in Dallas, Fort Worth, but it didn't look like it was jumping the way that one in Vegas was jumping. I mean, I've been to it a couple of times, but it didn't have as many things as that one. You said preach. I'm doing something, girl, but that's my thing. I just know that it was way too late in life before I knew my worth and my value, and before I realized the importance of advocating and standing up for myself. Like, I have never been a pushover when it came to just blatant poor treatment of myself, but it's just those, like, what do they call 'em? Microaggressions. It's the stuff that's coming from people who you wouldn't believe would do things, so you second guess it. Like, is that really what they meant? Yeah, that's what they meant. That's what they said. But I was too busy trying to protect other people. I was too busy not wanting to look a certain way, not come across as a certain way. And I was putting me second every single time, sometimes third, taking a back seat. And I finally realized that's played out. I'm not doing that anymore. I am going to fight for me every single time. I'm going to stand up for me every single time. I am going to be confident in who I am and what I'm capable of and be able to articulate that every single time. No longer am I making myself small to make other people feel comfortable. No longer am I accepting poor treatment because I don't feel comfortable questioning authority. No longer am I going to put myself in harm's way or in danger because somebody is supposed to be a professional. No longer am I going to continue to believe in certain things and do certain things because I am under the leadership of a pastor of a church whose vision I'm not solely bought into. No, I'm going to move around. I am going to get to a place that serves me, that fills my cup, where I feel comfortable and I feel fulfilled, so then I can do the same thing for other people. Oh, Amanda, I'm glad we came in contact as well. You know, I love and appreciate you so much. And each and every one of you. I I can't tell you how full my heart is to see how many of y'all showed up just to hang out with little old me today. Beauty said, Amen. Oh, you're on that same journey now. And that's fine. I love it. That journey of self discovery, that journey of finding out where you belong. Because again, so many of us, when it comes to that spiritual journey, especially, we were told where to be. We were told what to believe. We were told what we needed and how we should do it. And so, going on that journey is eye opening, eye opening. I'm about my father's business. Yes, absolutely. Me too, girl. And that is the one who I'm concerned about their opinion of me and how I show up and what I do. And that's the thing too, when we downplay ourselves, then we are downplaying the gifts that he's given us, right? So he gave me the gift and the ability to be able to sing, to make that joyful noise. Why would I downplay that? And I enjoy it so much and I cherish it so much. Why was I downplaying it? It's because I didn't want to sound arrogant. I didn't want somebody else to feel uncomfortable. I didn't want them to walk away and be like, oh, she thinks she all that. Because that's the thing, too. You know, people say that and it's like, absolutely, I do think I'm all that. But guess what? You should think that you're all that too. And if you don't, then do the work. Because I didn't always think I'm all that. And that's so sad. Why wouldn't I? Why would I need somebody else to tell me that I'm all that? Why do I have to wait for somebody else's compliment? Why do I have to wait for somebody else's approval? No, I'm going to give it to myself. I'm going to look in the mirror and tell myself what I'm worth and how beautiful I am and how kind I am and what a wonderful person I am every single day. That's what I'm going to do for me, because for years and years I didn't. I suffered from ugly duckling syndrome. I suffered from comparing myself to other people. I suffered with that for too long. And then one day I finally realized, no, I am all that and a bag of chips, but there's enough chips for everybody. Just because I think I'm all that, that don't mean that you're not all that too. And I think that's the thing. That's the thing. We feel like if we think too big of ourselves, then we're putting somebody else down. No, there is enough excellence and greatness for all of us. All of us. And just because I think I'm the bomb.com doesn't mean that you're not too. And doesn't mean that I don't think that you are, because there's no competition, right? We're all individuals. We're all unique. We are all awesome in our own way. All of that is called putting yourself first. Now, I used to do myself the same and no more. Yeah, absolutely. No, do not toot your own horn. Be there for you, because you are the only guarantee of who is always going to be there. And if you can't count on you and then other people don't show up, then what you got? So you got to be there for you. Snapping your fingers. Yes, girl. Let's see. I hope I haven't missed comments or speaking to people. Deborah, I think I spoke to you, and Fresh and Fire said, hey, stay in chat, watching you on TV in the bushes, but here and listening. Great message. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, and to the people in the bushes, thank y'all too. Absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate it. And it got me on the TV. I feel special. I'll be watching everybody on the TV too. I love it. Yes, love yourself. Yep, beauty, you have to. You have to. And I just spent too much time not doing it. And so, but I also realized that a lot of what I have been through and a lot of my struggles and the time where I didn't have a voice, I was always very aware. And I wondered many times from different struggles that I've had in my life why I went through it. Because, you know, they say, well, when you go through things, you know, you should learn a lesson. Well, I didn't always learn a lesson. There's some stuff that I went through in my life that I just went through, and I still don't know why I went through them, except for the fact that I realized it was to help somebody else, not to have to go through the same thing that I went through, not to deal with the poor treatment and feeling uncomfortable from medical professionals, not to stay in a church or any type of relationship where you're not being fed, where you don't feel like you belong, where you're not growing. I realized that's why I went through it, because I was going to be the one to have the mouth and the courage to come out and tell other people, you don't have to do that either. You don't have to stay where you don't feel fed. You don't have to stay where you don't feel like you're treated right. You have choices and you make the decision, because at a certain point, if you're not getting what you need, it's your fault. Let's see. Lacey J said you can be your own worst enemy or your own best friend. Absolutely. Absolutely. That was me for so long. And there are so many things. And I try so hard to always have a forward thinking mindset, but I would be lying if I didn't say that I've had some of those woulda, shoulda, coulda moments. And that's what I want to be able to help other people prevent, because you don't want too many of those. Like, you're not going to ever make the right decision every single time. You're gonna have your good days and bad days. But my thing, and the reason why I wrote my first book, Running for Your Life, was when the light bulb finally went on for me. I'm like, you know what? Let me use this as my way to give other people permission to love themselves unapologetically. Let me show people how I almost wasted 45 years of my life, doubting myself, feeling uncomfortable in my own skin, just to realize that that was never necessary. It was just the negative things that had been said to me for so long got in my head till I started saying it to myself. Girl, you talking about me. It's a reason why God led me over here. Oh, girl, thank you. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Every once in a while, we just need that confirmation, right? Just to hear it from somebody else, just to know that we're not alone, and just to realize that the stuff that we're thinking is real. And we're not the only ones thinking it. We're not the only ones who are experiencing it. And then it's just like, yes, okay, I'm good. Because sometimes, especially when you decide to go down a journey that you haven't gone down before and break away from doing something that you've always done just because you've always done it, you wonder, like, am I tripping? But no, girl, you ain't tripping. You ain't tripping. And so I'm glad that I could be here to give you that confirmation. And I am just so excited about your journey and your path and whatever it is that you're going to do differently to be able to truly live at your highest self, because that's what we deserve. Absolutely, that's what we deserve. And so, again, I apologize if anybody's been trying to jump on the live, but no, maybe nobody wanted to talk to me today. Y'all talking to me in the comments. Maybe nobody wanted to jump up here because I'm not seeing anything. But if you are trying to jump in, please know I am not ignoring you. And I guess I'm just saying that because when I'm on other lives and they open it up, people just trying to come on, come on, come on. So I'm like, so ain't nobody want to come on here. I just want to make sure, but I also want y'all to know that I am not ignoring anybody. But I am about to sign off for today. I don't even know what time it is. I turned my phone off, right? Because I have an Apple phone and I use all Apple products. So I have an iPhone and then I have my Mac computer that I'm streaming from, and I have my iPad. And for some reason, no matter how many times my husband tries to disconnect these devices from each other, they always end up back connected. And so I was getting FaceTime calls when we first got on, which I think is what may have messed up my audio situation at first. And it was ringing on my laptop. So I turned my phone off and I wanted to have the phone on because I wanted to be able to see what was going on Facebook on the live too, but I had to turn it off because I couldn't risk us getting kicked off. So if you've been on Facebook and I haven't been paying attention or responding, it's just because I didn't have my phone on because I didn't want us to get kicked off of here. So I'm trying to figure it out for next time and see if we can keep them from connecting. Let's see. Lachey said, awesome, awesome first live. Happy I was able to make it because I very much needed it. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad. And I can't wait to tune into you and Lacey J on Friday. And so everybody in the comments, please take note. I don't have Nightbot or whatever that is. Y'all know I'm still new to doing this on my own on StreamYard, but I'm going to look into that. But I definitely want everybody to connect and subscribe to each other's channels. I have really met some awesome people since I have been tuning into the live. So I've been on YouTube for years, y'all. 2018 is when I first started my channel, and I was training for a marathon and writing my book at the time. And I started the channel just to kind of go through that journey, but I didn't take it like super seriously and commit to it. I was also still in corporate America at the time. And so I just didn't have a lot of time. But now, since I've left corporate America over the last year or so, I have put more time into building my channel, but I've been around for a long time. And I never before tuned into lives on YouTube. I don't know why. I just, didn't. Whenever I would see a live, I literally would just scroll by it. I don't know why, because YouTube just wasn't about lives for me. Like Facebook lives, yeah, but YouTube, I just didn't live. So I ran across Miss T with the T. She had reached out to me. I think she saw me on TikTok and she had reached out and asked me to be on her show. And then I just kind of got hooked on her show because I think I had already seen it a couple of times. And so now I have met this awesome community, which I call T Unit. I don't know if she's actually adopted that name yet, but this awesome community. And so now I watch lives. I've met so many great people and we have really connected. And I'm like, oh, wow, after all these years on YouTube, there is a whole community out here of people. Because, like I said, I did a podcast for years, but it wasn't on YouTube, it was actually on a radio network. So, live and YouTube is really new to me just in these past couple of months. And there is a whole community out here. So I definitely want y'all to subscribe to each other's channels. If you can drop your links in the comment section without me having Nightbot, feel free. I'm all about connecting people and collaborating. So don't be shy about that. If you're going to be going live, like I know Lacey J and Living Life with Lachey are going to be going live on Friday. Miss T with the T goes live every morning, Monday through Friday, and then she's even on other people's lives on the weekend. I know J3 is in here. And so any of y'all, just put your information in the comments. Always feel free to do that. I am a connector. I'm a collaborator. So even if I don't say it, because I run my mouth a lot, this is what I get paid to do every day is talk to folks. So I can go on and on and on and on and forget to do the housekeeping things and stuff like that. But y'all know here, always feel free. Don't be shy about it if you have anything going on. Um, oh, Beauty, you said you need to start going back live. Yeah, I mean, this is my first time on YouTube, but I have committed to it. I'm going to be going live at least 3 times a week. And it's a good way, they say, also for your watched hours, if you're trying to get your watched hours up. So yeah, and I owe all of this to Miss T, Big Rooster, J3, the ones who encouraged me to go live. I'm like, oh, I don't really know if I have the time. And so it took me a while and I had to be intentional about it. So I set up for, I was going to start in February. And I said that back in December because I knew once I commit to something, I want to be committed to it. I'm not somebody who's going to be flaking back and forth. So I knew I couldn't start until I could really carve out the time and figure out the days that were going to work best for us so that I could show up consistently, because I'm never going to be a person who's just flying by the seat of my pants. Sometimes you see me, sometimes I don't. Now, of course, things may happen, but it's going to have to be something important that happens. And so that's why I took my time and decided to start in February. So I will be doing it twice a week on this channel. Oh, oh, thank you. Yeah. I mean, I've been running my mouth and behind a microphone my whole life. So, I mean, that's just a gift that I have. So I cannot even really take any credit. I was born. Okay, let me tell y'all this before I let y'all go. And who knows, I might, oh, hey, Kelly, I didn't see you in here. So I bring it. She's the one I was telling you does the crochet. But let me tell y'all this story about me when I was growing up. I actually invented the podcast back in the 80s. I'm just saying. Because when I was little, what I used to do is I would go into my bedroom window in the evenings and I would pull up my window and I would do my own radio show. So I would just talk about the weather. I would tell people, different things that were going on in the neighborhood. And then, of course, I would sing. And so, instead of playing records or whatever, I would sing the songs. And I had some neighbors that would listen to me faithfully. And so one of my neighbors, Beverly, who is like a godmother to me, I've known her my entire life in Pittsburgh, her and her mom, that was like the thing. After they ate dinner, they would be out on their patio to hear what Stae was going to talk about. So yeah, I don't get the credit for it, but I invented podcasts. So I have been doing this forever. And I was everybody. I was the weather lady. I was the songs. I was giving the breaking news. I was a one woman show, which that's something I'm considering doing as well. I think I may do a one woman show one day because I have not sang in a long time, but I'm coming out of retirement for one show only on February 10th. The Fort Worth Metropolitan Black Chamber of Commerce is doing their inaugural Black History Gospel event, and I was asked to be a featured soloist. So I will be singing one song for that. But I also think maybe on one of my birthdays, maybe my 55th birthday, I'll do like a cabaret one woman show type of thing. And I don't know, y'all. I got a lot of stuff. Let's see. Hey, Uno, hello, Stay, hello, chat. Just passing through to thumbs up the live and say hello to y'all. Y'all have a blessed night. Oh, thank you so much. Good message. I was in the back. Oh, you was in the bushes, Kelly. That's all right. We're gonna have to get that karaoke together, y'all. Kelly sings too, and I watch her on karaoke. So we're gonna get together and see if maybe we can do a karaoke night together. Lee CJ, thank you. This was awesome. Definitely will be tuned in for more and more lives. Thank you so much. And y'all make sure I'm gonna put it in the chat. I don't know how this works, but my husband and I have our channel, The Hallway Life. So if you have a moment, if you could go over and subscribe to that channel, because we will be going live and we talk about a lot of stuff as far as couples. So our first podcast is going to be on February 4th, which is Sunday, and we're going to talk about how to keep the spark going in a relationship or how to rekindle the flame. I can't remember exactly what the name of the show is, but y'all will get to meet my Pooh Bear on Sunday. And I will stream on this channel as well because I have more subscribers on this channel. So we'll do both on that one. But if you have a second and can subscribe to that channel, that would be awesome. And we will go live every Sunday at 7. So it'll always be 7 Central Time. But oh, thank you. Living life with Lachey. See, y'all be like Lachey. Be like Lachey. She says she already followed. See, everybody be like Lachey. I love that. So yeah, we'll be going live on Sunday. But yeah, y'all, I invented podcasts. So, you know, you don't have to thank me today. But if it wasn't for me, who knows where we would all be. I was just a little girl in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, entertaining her neighbors out of her bedroom window, giving all of the information and singing all the songs. But I love you guys. I thank you so much for being here. I planned on being on only an hour or so, and so we're almost at an hour and a half, and I definitely do not want to take your time for granted. Oh, you're looking for the channel now. And I think you have to, because we're a small channel, I think you have to put the @ in front of it. Just like when you're looking for me, you have to put the @ in and then the Hallway Life or the @ and Stae Hall. We ain't a big enough channel yet for you just to put the name in it and it pops up. So you have to do the @ and then put it all the way together, just like I put it in the chat. But yeah, I wasn't expecting anything. I came on with absolutely no expectation, but to have a good time. And whether it was one person on here or 100 people on here, I was going to share the information that I felt somebody needed, because I'm a big believer in that too. Whoever shows up is who needs to be here. I'm not one of those people who are going to get on and say, oh, well, let's wait a little while for a couple of other people to join. Because guess what? A couple of other people might not join. And then why am I going to discount the time of the people who were here and make them wait? So I'm always going to show up when I say I'm going to show up, and I have no expectation. And so you guys just have wowed me this evening, and I appreciate you so much for being here, taking your time out to hit the like button, to share it out, to comment, to sit in the bushes, just to listen to me. Whatever it is that you did to participate this evening, just know that it has not gone unnoticed, and I appreciate you so very much. And the way I will end every single time is just like this: love each other and always be kind, but never forget to live your life. LYFE. Love yourself first explicitly. And I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.